Gentlemen, boys, and the one girl that watches my video, I welcome you to an educational crash course on how to clear a room and peek around corners in Apex Legends. I'd also love to say thank you for the immense support lately, but only 12.5% of you who watch my videos are subscribed. So if you are new around here, please consider subscribing. Let's start with talking about corners. When you're out in the open and you have no cover whatsoever, the only chance you got is to pretty much blend in with your surroundings, which is going to be a wall behind you. Whether it's a wall made from a building, rocks, or even a hill, you just need to pray to God and hope to hell that the enemy makes a mistake in not seeing you, because the wrath you will unleash upon them in the final circle will leave them in tears. Attached to every wall, though, is a corner, and peeking from them may sound simple, but in reality, there's a lot of training involved in doing this effectively. We first need to discuss why we want to be a little further away from the actual corner itself when peeking from corners. The reason is so you don't show your body before you show your face, which is what you see from. If you're wondering why this is and how it works, hold your thumb up to your eye so you block out your screen. Now move your thumb closer to it instead. At first, when you moved your thumb really close to your eye, you couldn't see the entire screen since your thumb was close to your eye and far away from your monitor. But as you moved your thumb right up against it, it no longer covered the entire area and you could still see plenty of the screen itself. So even though your thumb was super duper small, you're still able to cover a bunch of your screen because it was far away. But now, because your thumb is still super duper small and it's right up against your screen, you can see almost the entire screen still, just only what your thumb doesn't cover. The same analogy works with peeking around corners. You do not want to be right up against it, or else your shoulders and arms will appear before your head does, which alerts the enemy and lets them shoot you before you can even see them. Back up a few steps and then you are ready to peek the enemy. Now for the actual peeking part, I'll try to make this as easy for you guys to follow as possible. When you go to peek around a corner, we already know to keep some distance away from it, but when you want to peek a corner that's on your left, for example, you should already have looked to see if it is clear on your right, especially if you're out in the open. A quick glance should fulfill this purpose along with audible cues. Now you want to fix your crosshair on the actual corner that you are peeking from, and you want to keep your crosshair fixed on it as you slowly rotate outwards. You don't have to be aiming down sights the entire time you do this, just until you see an enemy is fine, but since you move slower while ADS, it will put you at a disadvantage. But if you know for sure that someone is going to be around the corner either by hearing them or from information you gathered earlier, then you should ADS while peeking it so you don't waste any time other than lining up the shot and pulling the trigger. Think of it like this: you're on the outside edge of a circle and the center point of that circle is the corner, which is what you're going to be peeking from. All you do is look at the center of the circle, which is the corner, and follow it as you rotate around said circle. Since you know you're safe on the right, the area you're peeking from is the only unknown and your only threat, unless you get Kraber from 400 meters away in the back. Then all I can say is GG's. If there's more than one person around the corner, only the person that is farthest to the right will appear first in our example, which is nice because in order for the other enemies to shoot you is to expose themselves by pushing out towards where their teammate is or push you directly. And if you have your squad to back you up, I don't think they'll be wanting to do that without paying the ultimate price. Something to note though in most cases is that the corner you are peeking from is your only form of cover, so if you leave from it, you'll be everyone's favorite target. Don't move up from it unless you're forced to do so, or if the enemy team is running away and are very weak, or if you check to see that you're completely safe to do it. And something else to mention is that the enemies can peek from up high on your level or even below you, so make sure you have enough information or a good enough of a reaction time to flick to your target, adjust, and blow their brains out. Otherwise, you might get shot up a bit, so don't be too surprised when this happens. Now let's discuss clearing rooms. One of the scariest engagements you will get yourself into are those that are up close and personal. So when you are forced to push inside a building with people, right up against people, you want to eliminate that team as quickly and efficiently as possible. You want to peek the doorway as you would a corner, which is what we just talked about and went over. Doing this lets you get information and the option to push or not. Another way you can get information is slide jumping into the room like you're freaking John Wick, followed by your teammates behind behind you, peeking from the doorway or pushing out into the room with you, obviously you'd want to be near or behind some form of cover. You just don't want to be out in the open. Or you can use this method to flank through the inside of a building. This method is also a lot riskier, but gives your team 2 different firing positions instead of just one, which makes it much harder for the enemy to decide who to shoot at. If you are faced with a team doing this, shoot at the person that first comes inside or shoot at whoever you have the best shot on. Another thing to note is that when you push inside a building or a room like this and you see multiple enemies, you can use cover to clear some of their lines of sight and focus on just one at a time. So the others will have to leave from their cover and run around to your cover in order to shoot you. Or they'll be just left with the fact that they just have to focus on shooting your teammates instead. It really comes down to being precise and killing effectively so you can react to any incoming third parties. If you and your team just want to overtake a building altogether, head to the rooftop or one of the upper floors. It makes it so there are only a few ways in and out, so you can just let the enemy push you and you are in defensive mode, which will give you the upper hand. For some reason, a lot of people think that they could just push the rooftop of a building and overtake it super duper easily, but it's very difficult when there's another team up there. So keep that in mind, that you are pretty damn well safe up there, as long as you can defend yourselves. Communication is also a key characteristic in these scenarios, so make sure to be calling out to your teammates as much as possible, but don't over communicate. One last way to clear room is just to pretty much throw a fuck ton of grenades in there. You can do it all willy-nilly, but you can also be a little bit more precise to where you throw them. If you throw them around the exits and in the middle, the enemies will literally have nowhere to go except take the damage and continue fighting. You can also throw the grenades slightly behind them so they have the indicator behind them that they're going to get hit by it, so they are flushed out of their cover and into the open where you and your team will be ready to mow them down. If you find yourself in this predicament, then you did a bad job of letting an entire squad roll up on your own team. So either get up another floor or just leave altogether. But if you are feeling fearless and you are very confident in you and your team's abilities, then push up on the incoming squad, as they will usually panic and peek you ineffectively, making it an easy kill for you. But you will most definitely take a decent amount of damage. Thank you all so much for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to drop a like, a comment down below with your thoughts on this topic at hand. And of course, if you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe for more awesome videos just like this, because I've been Gamer. I'll see y'all next time. Peace.